In the second part of our Geophagus guide, I want to look at the Andean Geophagus. There are currently 3 species in this group, but it's likely there'll be 3 or 4 more added one day. This group is very different from the Surinamensis group we looked at in part 1. Let's have a look at a rough map with some locations. The first fish is one we all know, G.steindachneri, the red hump eartheater, that is found in the Rio Magdalena basin. This is one of the easiest Geophagus to keep and breed, and one of the most common in the hobby. Next up is Geophagus pellegrini. It occurs in the Rio Atrato and San Juan drainage. This is a much more difficult fish to keep, and it gets large and is very aggressive. But in the last 10 years or so, it has become available on a regular basis. Most of these fish occur in Colombia, but Geophagus crassilabris occurs mostly in Panama, and that is also why we don't see it that often in the hobby. They also look quite different in the different river basins in Panama, so there could be more than one species there. But let's get to the new ones. The first one, I only have a photo. We caught this fish in Venezuela in the rivers draining to Lake Maracaibo. Since no fish are coming from this region, it's not likely we will see it in the hobby anytime soon. It looks quite similar to G.steindachneri. To the east, we find Geophagus species Rio Sinu. I imported this fish in 2015, and some 5 years later you can find it virtually anywhere, because it is quite beautiful and many people are breeding it. Even closer to the border is the location of Geophagus species Rio Sucio. It is a very yellow fish that is similar to the next one, but may well be a different species. Finally, there's Geophagus species Chigorodó. This is a beautiful eartheater that was exported only once, and only 1 male and 4 females arrived here in Canada. The location is between Rio Sucio and the Rio Sinu. So today I want to show the last 3 new fish in video. Are there all new species in this group? Maybe not. But once scientists get a close look at them, I'm sure we will end up with new species. You can see that they are geographically separated between different river systems, which is always a good sign. Perhaps these Andean eartheaters will even get their own genus one day, as they seem to be so different from the Surinamensis-group, and they are geographically very far from the Orinoco, where the first species of the Surinamensis-group are found. The Geophagus Alto Rio Sinu came from the Sinu River in northern Colombia. We also use the name gold dust eartheater because the adult males get these golden scales along the flanks. The females and juvenile fish have a very distinct black bar down the center, and the body shape is very rectangular. It is not as slender as any of the other fish in this group. The males get quite large, more than 8 inches or 20 centimeters. It's my favorite fish from this group, and I'm so happy that it got around so much. The first breeding pair went all the way to Indonesia, and professional breeders there did really well to produce this cichlid, and from there it went to many other countries. We also shipped lots of these from Canada to the US. Like all these fish, they are mouthbrooders and relatively easy to breed. It is always nice to see that a new fish can remain in the hobby and not disappear after being imported one time. We made a YouTube video back in the silent era in 2015, introducing this fish as the new cichlid number 5. The next fish, our new cichlid number 19, also arrived for the first time way back in 2015 from the Rio Sucio, the valley close to the Rio San Juan and Atrato. Back then the fish had not so much color, and even though the fish were breeding here, there was not that much interest in this species. In 2022 we had another import of this species, and this time the fish arrived from the same location, but with bright yellow color. I assume this is the diet in nature, but it could also simply be the breeding season for the fish. In the aquarium they also retain this more yellow color. Geophagus pellegrini has the same issue, where some time of the year the fish are intense yellow with huge humps on the head, but in their off-season the males lack the big humps and do not have the bright yellow color. Rio Sucio actually means dirty river, and by coincidence the melanophore pattern of this fish is kind of a dirty black splotch on the flank. It is a large blotch, but only starts around the lateral line going downwards. Breeding these fish is very easy, and they breed much more easily than any of the Geophagus of the Surinamensis-group. In general, it is just a matter of giving them enough space and feeding them well. A large water change and slight increase in water temperature usually does the trick. These mouthbrooders do not build a spectacular nest like African cichlids, but rather clear an area of debris, usually alongside a feature such as a rock or piece of wood. The female visits the nesting site to lay the eggs and picks them up right away. After spawning, she will usually join the group of other females and even eat while she's incubating. Once the fry are free swimming, she will start to find calm areas away from the other fish to let them out of her mouth to feed. We kept the best for last, and here's a new cichlid number 20. This fish occurs just north of the Rio Sucio, near Chigorodó, very close to the Darien Gap. This drains to the Rio Turbo, so between the Rio Sucio and the upper Rio Sinu. Are these three different fish? I'm not certain, but they are certainly separated in three different river systems. This species is smaller, like the Rio Sucio, and a little less aggressive than the others. I would say more like G.steindachneri-group. The males and females have a huge black blotch that starts in the dorsal fin and can either end near the lateral line or cover the entire fish. It is certainly the most interesting female fish out of all these species. The males are also very colorful with a lot of red in the fins and bright yellow heads. Because only a handful of these cichlids were exported, I'm trying to breed a good number of them, and we have so far shipped around 100 babies. Like the Alto Sinu Geophagus, I hope this species sticks around because it is a really good looking fish. At this point, some notes about keeping these fish properly. In general, I would say aquariums of 100 gallons or 400 liters are enough, but for the Geophagus pellegrini it is better to double that. A lot of current, some round rocks and plenty of wood and sticks to obstruct their view and break up their territory. I find the males can chase the females around the tank a lot, so the group should be at least 6 but better 10 fish. And the more obstructions you can add to the tank's open spaces, the better. For more aggressive species, I found that creating some places for the females to hide near the surface really cut down on the aggression, and the mouth-brooding females would go there in the later stages when the babies were close to being released. I add some PVC pipes hanging near the surface, and the females go in there at night, so they are easy to catch and take out the babies. If you want to maximize the number of babies for these fish, it is best to take the babies out. Because in the community tank the number of fry declines every day, they are free swimming. The Geophagus Chigorodó females hold around 50 to 120 eggs depending on the size of the female. I gently strip the fry from the female after 10 days, then place the fry in a floating pen for a few days, where they can start to eat the moment they swim upright. Once the yolk sac is absorbed, I release the fry in a 10-gallon aquarium to raise them up. At around 12 millimeters or a half inch, they are ready to ship. I hope you liked our second Geophagus guide. Make sure to check out part 1. The link is in the description. We also created a playlist for all the new cichlids introduced here, now 20 in total. If you like this content, make sure to share it and subscribe to this channel. Now that travel is more possible again, I'll have some underwater footage from nature coming soon.